What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Lore Chronicles channel. I am Willoughbees, joined as always with...
Dick Burns.
And today we are talking about some breaking Lorcana news, some super exciting news, because today, per comicbook.com, exclusive with them, we got the Set 5 Set Championship promo revealed to us, which is going to be Mirabella Madrigal, as you can see here on the screen. She's going to be a legendary when she is in her normal art, but we got the promo alternative art for the enchanted version. She's got a 5/5 stat line. She costs 5. She is inkable. You can't play this character unless you have 5 more characters in play. So that's the card. But I think what we're a little bit more excited to talk about is the new rule that was announced with this card for Set Champs changes. Do you want to talk about that? Let everybody know what's going on.
Well, first of all, I thought this was a Willoughby's card. Looking at the image,
I can see with the hair and the glasses, yeah. Right? I like it.
Yeah, but the new big change that has people either in turmoil or super excited is now the top 8. The top 8 will be getting a promo card instead of just the top 4.
Yeah.
So no more making top 8 thinking you have done it and then you have in fact not done it.
Yeah. So Dick and I are actually a big fan of this change, but as he mentioned, there are going to be people who are not happy with this, so we wanted to quickly share our perspectives. I guess I'll let Dick represent what we think when talking about this, and I will say some popular arguments that I was seeing from people is, first and foremost, people are saying it's going to devalue the cards for Set Champs. So what do you say to those people?
I would say to those people, I don't think that random tournaments in local game stores should have such high stakes. I think that's why I travel all over the country playing in Disney Lorcana challenges and Star City games, and people go to CCS and these other great tournament organizers that are running high stakes events. I think it leaves a bad taste in a lot of locals' mouths, maybe not understanding what they were getting into when they came to it, thinking it might be a store championship. And then they come and they see 40 people they've never met before with the top tier decks.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and I think it touches also on the other thing that I'm seeing is people are saying oh, it makes it less competitive, that was the whole point, is to have some competition. But I think you're saying, if we want a hyper competitive way to engage with Lorcana, they have given us these challenges before we were even supposed to get them, right? I don't think we were supposed to have these kinds of plays this early, or these tournaments this early. So I think Set Champs really are a really great way to kind of be a stepping stone for new players to see how they feel in a competitive environment. And yeah, I think it does make it a bit more cutthroat, where you have people driving all over the state because it's only top 4 and they want to maximize their chances of getting one. Versus I think when you, or top 4, I don't know if I said that right, but I think when you cut to a top 8, I think it does make it a little less, there's a little less pressure on it, because there's everybody can probably have a good shot at getting the card. So immediately that's just feedback to that point as well, as that it's too competitive. And I don't know, I think I haven't seen too many other arguments. I saw somebody today reply to my tweet saying that they're concerned about stores doing Set Champs and capping it at 8, so that way, small stores, so that way everybody just gets one. To that, I think, first of all, we should just assume that stores are going to act in good faith. But second of all, stores are going to do that anyways if they are going to try to, rig it in any sort of way. And that's not going to be the majority. So I almost think it's not even worth kind of stressing over,
Yeah, we've already witnessed some stores that are definitely faking the tournament. Hopefully Ravensburger can snoop those out at some point. We've seen some very publicly. Me and you tried joining one that seemed very fake. So
yeah, we've seen them, and at that point, obviously, doing your due diligence as a community member, you can always try to report things like that when you see them. But realistically, I don't think Ravensburger has the time to go and comb through every single complaint every store has, especially when you factor in at least half of them are going to be from salty people who just didn't win. So but yeah, I think that's all of the negative stuff that people are saying. In terms of the positives, we have a lot more to say on that. What are you thinking about this change for Set Champs overall?
I think it's great change. For myself, now I don't have to really go to any. For one thing. Which I think has overall will be good for the community. I've definitely gone in some stores. You witnessed where I've gone in some stores, and everyone was very happy to see me. Unfortunately, that has not been the majority. I'm actually not going to set champs this weekend because I feel very unwanted. Everyone else, has been very vocal saying they want a shot as well. So I'm going to grant them that by not showing up. Hopefully, hopefully they get what they wanted.
Yeah.
Um,
And I want to point out really quickly for anybody who doesn't know context wise, who may not be familiar with us, he's not just like, tooting his own horn. When he goes to these things 9 times out of 10, he wins and he'll win first place. So like he does get actual genuine complaints about like, hey, you're, sharking, or, you're taking away opportunity from others, which I think on one hand, everybody should be able to play the game competitively, but perhaps something we can talk about, in another like video. I think to focus on the main point of this is like, yeah, I think it's just more opportunity for players, and like now, you can also probably feel less bad because there's more of them out there.
That's true. Like if so this card in particular, I don't really see myself playing it very often. If it was something that I wanted to play in my deck, I would like to have four of them to put in my deck. I'd like to win them, and rather than purchase them, so that every time I draw it, I can feel like good about myself. uh, yeah. So I think that I think this is just such a good change for the game.
Yeah, one thing we wanted to compliment Ravensburger on was the feedback that they are clearly like taking from the community, and I think also not only to compliment and praise them for like listening to the community, but I think to be implementing the changes so quickly. Because if you think about it, right, their feedback for set champs came in the first round of set champs, so it makes sense to me at least that they weren't able to push out this change for the second one coming up. But like if you give them one round of buffer time and then they immediately had this change, it's not like we've been waiting a year and now they're like, okay, we'll try, top 8. They, at least in the article, you can read it, it'll be linked in the description from comicbook.com, they're very clear about like this is the first step and we want to keep improving set champs, and like the next one we're going to try something new as well. So it sounds like they have plans to continue taking community feedback and also I think implementing it as quickly as possible. So I think that's pretty healthy. You being somebody who's been playing card games for so long, I wouldn't know, is listening to their player base like this typical, or is this like a good sign for Lorcana in particular? What do you think in terms of like, as it compares to other TCGs?
I think this is very atypical. I don't know what kind of red tape they're going through. I mean, they're under the mouse, so they
Yeah.
live by the mouse's rule. But for instance, like Magic the Gathering, I could imagine that any decision is going through so many chains of command all the way up to Hasbro, and then all the way back down, and that's what takes things so long to be implemented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one they most likely already had the promos printed
Mm-hmm.
for the second round of set championships before they announced the second round of set championships. So this does seem like a very quick turnaround to me from other card games that I've played, which is great.
Yeah, I agree. And like obviously it's always a little more complicated, but like semi easy enough fix, right? It's just like send the updated rules to the stores and print more cards. So the fact that they were able to do that, when it seems, at least to us on the player side, so easy to fix, is great to see. Before we move on to talking about the card itself, I know you mentioned how you felt about it a little bit. I did want to also point out to anybody who's interested in that article, like I said, it's on comicbook.com. If you type in, Magic All promo, it'll probably come up. Last thing that I think was topical about what we were talking about is in this interview from Comic Book, they did ask how Ravensburger feels about people going to multiple events. Like, how do you feel about people who are going to want 4 copies of a card? You can read their response there, but they did say, like, Ravensburger feels everybody should be able to, like, play as competitively as they want. So just something to keep in mind. I think as we look to, talk about with set champs, a lot of people come up with, should you shark it? Should you not? How competitive versus like casual should it be? And so I think at least in terms of an official source, they do seem to like approve of like people being able to get as many copies of a card as they so choose. So something to put out there before we kind of wrap up the discussion. But let's go ahead and talk about the actual card itself. So I read off the description. What are your first impressions of this card?
My first impressions were that this is probably unplayable.
Okay.
Which might be a little hyperbolic. Let's just say on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the best, I would say it's probably a 4. So maybe Fringe play is very appealing. That has so many fives written on it. People
Yeah.
are into that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know that
But
555 is like any sort of angel number, but for anybody who believes in things like that, maybe this is the card to play.
yeah, I mean, it's something that Blue has had since set one.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of like, that meme. It's like, it can't be what has already been, essentially.
Yeah.
Like the blue cards just feel like so much better
Yeah.
in comparison. It's kind of crazy. I'm interested to see how much it would have been played in set one if Bell didn't exist and this was printed in set one. Because
Ah.
being the only 5 actual printed character is so appealing. I mean, people were all over Brave Little Taylor, and
Yeah.
I thought that card was borderline unplayable.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was 4 was just so scary.
Yeah. I think so talking about, right, like this is the first card in Lorcana to have 5 lores. Pretty interesting, makes it a historical moment for the game, if you will. Wonder what that means moving forward. But also talking about how this would have been in set 1, worth noting that like lemon lime aggro was a thing, and I would say when there was a ruby amethyst meta that was so slow, it's not the kind of ruby amethyst that we see today, you could get away with, like, you could beat it, so like it was a viable deck option. So interesting to see when they release things like that. Now I would agree. Like, my first impression was like, this probably won't see much play. I won't say none. People love the character. I'm sure Madrigal decks, like, there's things that you can make happen. I could see probably its home being best in an amber amethyst, so yellow, purple aggro. But even then, I think that's just like if you really wanted to kind of make it happen. I think, though, it's worth noting. So we are saying our opinion on this card is that it's probably not a meta card, right? It's not going to be in those tier 1, tier 0 decks. That doesn't make it like, that doesn't mean like don't use it. Like if you have it, you win your set champs, maybe like have some fun. We're not saying like you're there's anything wrong with playing the card. We're saying in terms of looking at it analytically from us being competitive players, it's probably not going to be in like tier decks. Although I could see somebody feeling fancy after the Fort Worth deck list that we've been seeing and doing like a sapphire amber and just like diamond this or something crazy for no reason. Like,
yeah, I mean, you could discard to the queen.
Yeah.
The green queen.
Yeah, right. Discard that to gain the lore of a card. And then I think somebody was saying, what is it? Sven like brings back a card and you could like do it all over again or something like that. So people, I'm telling you, people want to make it work. They will find a way. This is just our first impressions. Probably not going to see too much play. Another thing I wanted to comment though, before we just like, keep talking about what we think about the card overall, what probably would have made it stronger, but is not the case, which I think hinders the card, rules clarification. You can't like cheat this card out in ways that people were like thinking they could. So can you tell people why, for example, a card like Mufasa or Just in Time that says you can play cards for free of a certain cost are not going to work on this for anybody who's confused?
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing other trading card games, they say put the card directly in play, most of those effects. However, this one actually says play the card.
Right.
And then the card itself, although I don't like reading cards, you get to a certain point in life where you just stop reading cards. The first thing it says is you can't play.
Right.
Which is unfortunate.
They like really like made it explicit.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. I've got nothing else for the rules for this.
But yeah, so you can't play this character unless you have 5 or more. So even if Mufasa says, if you top deck the Mirabelle, play it for free, yeah, she would be free to play, but then you have to check if you can play her, so you would not be able to play her. But in that instance, does it go back on top or does it, so
Mufasa will just stay on top.
Just stay right on top. There you go.
Yep. And your opponent will know what you're drawing. They'll know the game is over.
Yeah, like you probably can't even use it, or maybe you can if you have it out. But yeah, so I think that was pretty much everything that we wanted to go over with this. Obviously, we want to just give everybody a chance to take a look at the art, hear our initial thoughts. I think our biggest thing is just thank you, to Ravensburger and to the whole Lorcana team for listening to the community feedback and having such a quick turnaround. So a little bit of breaking news from the Lore Chronicles team. We'll be back to our more regularly scheduled podcasting hopefully very soon. I don't know, anything you want to say for the future?
If you see us at an event, come say hi.
Oh yeah.
I had our first fan. The first thing they did not bring up was anything other than Lore Chronicles. They didn't bring up the Forbidden Mountain. They didn't bring up anything except Lore Chronicles, and I texted you immediately.
Yeah, super cool. And I wasn't there. I wasn't there to see it. The first one. Oh,
Blake got canceled twice.
Happens. It happens. But all right, so there's your breaking Lore Chronicles news. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will have a Dallas Fort Worth vlog posted very soon, so you can see how Dick did in Texas. But besides that, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment what you think about the card. I don't care that Dick doesn't like when I plug, and we'll see you guys in the next one.